Getting ready to start, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to make sure that we set up our overflow room just in case we run out of space here. They can watch from YouTube. Getting ready to start, ladies and
Be prepared. I'm Flight Field owned by the Christmas Cross. Architecture. I-26 50 states join the U.S. Hawaii.
If you haven't done so, please state your name and what city and state you're coming from in the chat, please, in the chat. We got a lot of folks that we're letting in throughout the waiting room. Let's go and give it about 30 more seconds, ladies and gentlemen, and then we'll get started. Welcome, San Diego. Welcome, Illinois. Welcome, New Jersey. Welcome, North Carolina. Welcome, Colorado, Canada, Maryland, Ohio. Good that we have people all over. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I want to play some fun music to get you guys in a fun mood. But unfortunately, identity theft is not necessarily a fun thing. And my job here tonight, for those who don't know, hold on, let me get my screens situated so I can make sure that we have a smooth transition with everything. Give me just a second. And we are getting ready to get started. All right, let me connect my phone. Because I want the focus threats to our personal safety as well as security. And unfortunately, a lot of people, they're just not educated in that threat. And that's what we're going to change tonight. We want to bring you to education so you understand exactly what you can do, how to deal with this thing called identity theft that we have out there and everything else. So let me pause it just for a second to introduce myself. All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. For those who don't know, my name's Herman Davis. I'm actually from the Southeast Texas market. Background is law enforcement. And what inspired me to do this today is that I've been studying identity theft for over 20 years. Actually used to work in federal law enforcement. Let me record this. I used to work in federal law enforcement, so I definitely know a lot of things when it comes down to identity theft. Studied the thieves. We house the thieves because it's a federal crime in most cases that we had out there. But what I found out today, especially with the way digital things are, is that a lot of us, we've traded in our privacy and our security for technology. And because we live in this high-tech world, a lot of people don't understand the dangers of devices such as your cell phone, your computer, the internet, even your smart TVs can have when it comes down to your personal security and information, personal security. So what I want to do today is I want to just expose you or educate you on some little known facts that most consumers don't know. And it's not to have you drive down the street and throw your cell phone out the window, even though some of you may feel that way when you see exactly what goes on. But that's not the purpose today. The purpose is to bring awareness. And I think if we do a good job of bringing awareness, then you can put some things in place to protect you and your family, because the crime of identity theft, or fraud, I should say, I shouldn't say identity theft, just fraud overall, is really ruining a lot of lives today. And we want to, hopefully after the day, you'll thank the person that invited you and you'll be more equipped to deal with some of these things that we have. So let's jump right into it. Let me make sure that my meeting is showing on my screen so we can go through this deal after all. So we're going to go through a lot of statistics, a lot of facts today, because like I mentioned, the purpose of today is just to bring you total awareness so you know exactly what you need to do, some of the things you can do right now, some of the things that you can stop doing right now, because many of you are probably participating in your own demise without knowing about it, and give you some options afterwards on some ways you can protect yourself. But identity theft in itself, it's what I call a silent threat. because unlike a lot of threats in our lives, it creeps upon us, and a lot of times we don't realize that we're victims until way after it happened. I mean, if you look at it, it's reaching record highs every single year. Even though we don't talk about it a lot, it's still in 2024 over $12.7 billion. That's a 23% increase over 2023. So it's growing. It's a growing market, but it's not the kind that we want to grow in ourselves. Globally, it skyrocketed over 5.5 billion. That's an eightfold increase from 2024 to 2023. So this crime is getting worse and worse. And what makes it a silent threat is we've all been fed this false narrative that it's all about our finances. And most folks, if you're anything like me, when I first heard about identity theft, I didn't really have a lot of money. And to be honest with you, my credit wasn't the best at that particular time. So I feel I'm just a bad candidate. If someone steals my identity, it's literally for practices purposes only, because they're not going to be able to get anything with my money or with my credit. But through education and experience, and of course, watching what happened with these thieves, I found out that it's a lot bigger than our finances, a whole lot bigger than our credit. And most of us don't know that we're a victim because we're focused upon monitoring things like our credit through our bank or through our credit card. But what I'm going to do today, it's more than just your credit. I want to educate you on those other areas that you need to look after, and protect. Okay. 60% of all identity theft cases involve some type of fraud that don't even show up on your credit report. 6 out of 10 of every case doesn't even show up on your credit report. So even though you may have great monitoring services through your bank, a credit card, or maybe have a free monitoring service through a recent data breach, just keep this in mind. If it's monitoring your credit, most likely, most of those things won't even show up and you won't find out until later on. So there's actually 6 areas we're going to talk about tonight that really show up. And in these areas, you're going to be able to see exactly what type of coverage you need, what you can do for free to cover yourself in these areas, so you can reduce your risk. So let's open up with the most obvious one, right? Financial identity theft. We all know about that, right? But what we're finding out, we're seeing this trend lately, because financial identity theft is the most common. It's where people, get access to your bank accounts, open credit cards, or take out loans. But what we're finding out these thieves are doing is they're really they're making a strategic move to do things to target your areas that lack consumer protections, such as like credit card transactions. I'm not worried about credit card identity theft. Why? Because that has consumer protection laws. But when they move to things such as your bank account or cryptocurrencies or things of that matter, now those have less consumer protection, so it's really risky for the consumers. You lose a lot more. So financial identity theft is a problem. It can take years to recover, and that's the one we're most likely known for. But here's are some that you don't know about, like medical identity theft. Now, medical identity theft, the healthcare sector had its worst year ever in 2024. So far as medical identity theft, it jumped up 64.1% from the previous year, which was 2023, which is a record-breaking year also, to 267 million medical records. Think about that. That's over 81% of the US population, their medical information has been breached. Over 81%. That's in the healthcare. Now, that's when medical identity theft is when someone uses your healthcare information to commit some type of fraud, like insurance claims, obtain medical care, or even get prescriptions. There's some crazy things that can happen in medical identity theft, but people don't understand this. You have a centralized location for everything you do medically called the medical information.
I don't have a lot to eat. First, Auntie, we have to
I had somebody get off of mute. We have a centralized location where we store all of our things. So anytime you get a checkup, a prescription, it goes into this centralized file, kind of like a credit file. So when these thieves take advantage of your medical information, not only are they committing fraud, but they're actually changing up your health file. Think about that. Think about what thieves can do when they maybe obtain some type of health care on your dime, which is not really the financial part, is not what I'm worried about, but they have some type of illness or disease or a different blood type where they can actually change your health records. And now you have an emergency. Look at what can happen. I'm going to play a short video to tell you a story about someone who's a victim of medical identity theft and how it hurt them.
Identity theft turned my life upside down. It nearly cost me custody of my children. In February of 2006, my driver's license was stolen from my car. Nothing could have prepared me for what was about to happen. 2 months later, in April of 2006, my driver's license was used by a methamphetamine user. She went to a hospital and gave birth to a baby that subsequently tested positive for drugs. Child Protective Services called me and they informed me that this baby that they believed I had had tested positive for methamphetamine, and they felt that my 4 children were in danger. This is how I learned that I was officially the victim of medical identity theft. It was completely devastating. I was angry, confused, frustrated, terrified, and it really left me not knowing who to trust or where I could go for help. I mean, I was really completely alone in this. But ultimately I recognized that I just had to stay strong and fight to keep my kids with me. I had to go to court. I had to take a DNA test. I had to hire an attorney. My friends and family were questioned. My daughter was pulled out of school. Everybody knew that I was being investigated by Child Protective Services. It was humiliating. My biggest fear during this whole time was that my children would be taken away and that I'd have to work for months to get them back. It was completely devastating. In my case, I had a DNA test that was able to prove that I had not had the baby. The woman who had had the child was caught. These things really helped me to resolve my case. That wouldn't be the same for everyone who's the victim of medical identity theft. I wish I could say the nightmare was over, but not too long ago, I went to the pharmacy and had them look up a prescription for one of my kids, and this child still popped up in with my other kids. I am just scared that I'm going to have an emergency someday and this is going to pop back up and create complications. Unfortunately, I don't see this crime being taken seriously, and not a lot is being done to keep people safe. I fear that something really bad is going to happen to someone before this crime gets the attention it deserves.
Medical identity theft, many folks don't understand or what it can do. That's why it's very important to always have every area monitored, including your health records. Now you have criminal identity theft. Now, criminal identity theft, I know we've heard of it. I had a friend of mine who had warrants for his arrest because someone stole his driver's license, cloned his driver's license, and got tickets, moving violations on their driver's license. Of course, the warrants came out in his name. And there's a new wave that are going on with criminals now. Instead of people are targeting you maybe to steal your identity for some type of financial gain, you have revenge identity theft, that people will purposely do some things with your identity to ruin your reputation, to get you arrested. It is scary the different ways when people have your information and what they can do. And off of the recent over $18 billion of 18 billion pieces of information, the recent data breach that just happened, everyone on this call probably has some type of their data that already been breached. So criminal identity theft is really crazy on how it can hurt you and everything else, and how it can, take over your life. Here's an example from the FBI on a criminal identity theft case.
Identity theft occurs when fraudsters obtain your personal information, and it costs victims millions of dollars every year. The list is vast, but crimes like financial fraud, tax fraud, and healthcare fraud can be the result of unprotected personal information. When a federally insured financial institution was defrauded through an act of identity theft, FBI Springfield opened an investigation. The identity theft victim shares her story as a solemn reminder that it's worth the extra effort to take steps to protect your personal information. This is Lacey's story.
I didn't know initially anything was wrong. A family friend got a hold of me, had asked me why the cops were looking for me. I initially thought it was a joke. I've never been in any kind of trouble, not even a seatbelt ticket. And she goes, no, there is the chief of police of Oblong is looking for you. He had told me that he needed me to come into his office. My name had been brought up in an investigation that he was doing. I was terrified because I had never been in any kind of trouble. And he's like, no. He goes, I just think you're actually a victim and not the person that's involved. He had pulled out a file folder, probably a good 2 or 3 inches thick, and I just got sick. And it was check after check after check. And at the bottom of the file was my driver's license. I had noticed maybe a couple days before that my wallet had been missing, but that's nothing unusual for me. I misplace a lot of things. That's when I found out that somebody had stole my wallet and everything that was inside of it.
On the day of the crime, Lacey made a stop at a local retailer, leaving her wallet on the front passenger seat and the car unlocked.
We live in a small town, you only see this kind of stuff to me in movies and in bigger towns. I felt safe here.
With only a driver's license and a social security number, the criminals opened a checking account online in Lacey's name.
When I went into the chief of police office in Oblong, they had made purchases in like California, Kentucky, Tennessee.
In the aftermath of the crime, lenders threatened to repossess Lacey's home and car. Her daughter, now 18, still struggles to get a driver's license.
I can't even get a simple loan because my credit has been destroyed. I don't trust nobody. A lot of people, trust has to be earned. I gave trust until you broke it. It may take a few years for everything to fall off. My credit.
That's crazy. A few years. So now you have government benefits fraud. That's when people can take your information to claim things like unemployment benefits when you don't qualify for them legally. And now an investigation is open on you, or tax refunds. And IRS, one of their strategies of avoiding tax refunds, people taking your refund, is file it before the criminal or other government assistance. And it can be horrible when it comes down to government benefits fraud. But this is one that scared me more than anything else, because I have a big family with kids. This child identity theft. Many of us, we don't think we need anything to cover our kids because they're under 18. They don't have a credit file, but that's exactly why thieves want them, because they see an opportunity for them to create things that aren't there. You'll be surprised at what a thief can do with your child's information if it's out there. So I'm gonna play this other video to show you the power of child identity theft and why we should protect our family.
We can't hear anything.
Hold on. Someone said there was no sound. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Hold on. Let me make sure I get you guys situated. Let me stop this share. And let me reshare it and give me a thumbs up if you hear the sound. Hold on just a minute. Let me put it back on, and my apologies about that. Any sound on that? That way y'all can get the whole video. Thank you for letting me know too.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. It's me, Ella. Well, a digital version of me. Just a bit older. Amazing what technology can do these days, isn't it? All you need are a couple of pictures, like the ones you share on social media, where they can be taken and used by everybody. I know for you these pictures are just memories, but for others, they are data. And for me, maybe the beginning of a horrible future. A future where my identity can be stolen just like that. Where I can go to prison for things that I would never do. Imagine my credit score being destroyed, Dad. Or my voice copied to scam you, Mom.
Mom, I'm in trouble.
I need you to send me money, please. I don't want to become a meme, humiliated by everyone at school.
Kill yourself, you loser.
And I certainly don't want this. What you share online is like a digital footprint that will follow me around for the rest of my life. I'm telling you this because I know you love me and would never do anything to harm me. So please, Mom, please, Dad, protect my virtual privacy.
A lot of parents don't understand the importance of what we do on social media and how it can impact our kids. And especially young parents, they don't see the importance of what we do. And that's why we want to bring awareness that you got to watch out what you do. We also have imposter scams. This is the biggest rise in identity theft over the last few years, where people pretend to be you. They pretend to be someone that you love, make urgent demands, impersonate someone else. Or we just had a big scam that went on last week that you probably got a text message saying you owe on some toll in some city, some random city. That was a big scam that just happened. Those are imposter scams. So imposter scams, they can be dangerous. Here's a little something to lighten the mood.
Hi, we was calling because somebody is using your social security number, and we need you to confirm that is yours. So can you please state it?
Wait, what? If you know that it's my social, then why do I have to say it?
Sir, we're just trying to make sure that is completely right. So can you please, say it?
Well, can't you guys just say it first? And then I can confirm?
Well, see, we can't do that because then, it might get it wrong and stuff like that. So just say the last digits and that's all.
Right. My last digits is 911.
Hey, funny guy. You're such a funny guy. Hey, almost had you.
Almost.
Hey, almost. Oh, man. 658 Garden Lane. Jonathan Simmons, right? Like, don't laugh in my face like you won, bro. Like, I'm not these normal scam likelies, bro. I'm scammed for sure. Like,
yo, who are you?
Who am I, bro? I'm finna be you, bro. When I get your socials, that's it. That's checkmate, bro. Like, don't laugh. That's not a
Identity theft, these thieves already have your information. And those are the type, so it's bigger than your financial. That was the whole point of those other 5 identity theft. Let me share with you some hidden risks, things that you're doing right now that you may not know about that are really putting you at more risk. First of all, you're using public Wi-Fi. You're without a VPN. What happens when you connect with a public Wi-Fi, they're able to see the traffic because you go through their Wi-Fi to get to the internet. So these thieves can see your traffic. And a lot of thieves, what they do is they'll set up free fake Wi-Fis. Well, they're real Wi-Fis, but they're trapped for you. This is how they're able to view certain traffic that's going across your network to your banks, logging into different accounts and everything else. So think about the times you log in at Starbucks or at the airport. Are you logging in without a VPN? A VPN is a virtual private network. That means it's a filter on your device that anytime you connect with a Wi-Fi, your information goes through that filter and it encrypts it. So the Wi-Fi can't see exactly what you're doing. The second thing is social media oversharing. We overshare too many things on social media. When we look at Facebook and Instagram and sites like that, we're not thinking security. The only security we're thinking about is I need to keep my password safe. But it's bigger than that. I want you to start thinking like a thief. That's going to be hard for some people, but you need to have the mindset. What do I mean by that? When you post your class reunion online, what you're doing is you're just posting an event with pictures. But you know what a thief sees? A thief sees the year you graduated, the city you graduated from, the name of your high school mascot. Think about some of the security questions that you have to answer when people are guessing your password. Mother's maiden name, when you post your family reunion, street you grew up on. Think about the things you talk about memory lane. We have to make sure that when we're posting things on social media, we're not giving thieves information that they need in order to infiltrate our identity. So you have to think about what you're posting. A second thing is think about the websites you go to. Do you know the difference between a secured and an unsecured website? Do you know how to find the difference? If you look, one of the clues is when you look in the web address, if it says HTTPS, that means it has a security certificate that's been issued. If it doesn't say that, then it doesn't have a security certificate. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad website, but you want one that's secure. And we're giving so much information, we're shopping on unsecure sites without realizing, because most people don't shop for security, they shop for price. And we're looking at Google results and we find the lowest price and we're putting our credit card information in there. Data breaches. I just mentioned we had one of the biggest data breaches in history. Billions of records of information were leaked online to the dark web. So data breaches occur. And the thing about data breaches that's scary is that you can be doing everything correctly yourself, protecting your information, locking your doors, not leaving your wallet out, all those things. But think about all the people who have your information. You're the utility companies, schools, banks, credit cards, all these other people have your information. If they get breached, it's just like you got breached. So you got to look after data breaches and constantly be up on what related data breaches and if my information is involved in that. Also phishing scams. What phishing scams are, there are these things where they send you a link that look like one thing and may look like a legitimate website, a site that you're familiar with, but it actually leads you to something else. So understand exactly what you're clicking on, verify before you click on it. People send a lot of text messages with a lot of links in them that don't go to where they're supposed to go. Think about mail theft. Make sure that your mail, you don't let your mail pile up. That's a little old school way of doing it. Weak passwords. How many of you put a 1 in the chat if you've recently changed your password in the last 3 months or so on your main accounts? Put a 1 in the chat. And I think most people, they understand about that. Some of these sites, they're requiring now that you change your password, and that's good. But let me tell you a secret about passwords. Changing your password doesn't mean that you put an exclamation mark on the end of it. It doesn't mean that you put your area code on it, because most of you're thinking this. You want to change it so it's hard to it's hard for a thief to guess, but if you can remember your password, it's not a secure password. That's a rule of law. If you can remember your password, it's not a secure password. So you need some type of password manager, because if you can remember it, a thief can guess it. Unpatched devices. I hate updating my iPhone, right? It comes at the most inconvenient time, or your Android. The reason why most updates come out on your cell phone are security threats. It has nothing to do with new features. It has to do with some hacker found some way to violate something on your phone, and they're doing it all the time. So make sure anytime you get any type of update on your phone, you update it immediately. This will get your phone the best security that's known at that particular time. But keep in mind, it changes periodically. Lost or stolen devices. So if you lose your device, your cell phone, most people are just immediate. Most people are worried. You know why they're worried? Because they can't get back on social media immediately. You should be worried because that cell phone contains your life. You need to make sure that if you lose your device, you have something on there that have device wipe Most modern cell phones have a device wipe plan on them, meaning that if you lose your device, you're able to remotely wipe your device clean of all your personal data upon it. So make sure that you're doing that. And also data brokers. Now, this scares me the most. Data brokers are these websites, and I can name anyone, whether it's Bernard, Carol, Cheryl, Eugene, Karen, Keith, Kelvin. It doesn't matter who you are. Your information is online. I can go to sites like Intellis, People Search, Who's Who. There's like 80 of them out there, and I can find out your address, your phone number, your kids' names, all of your court records, where you work at, your net worth, your social media profiles, your pictures. All this information is aggregated by data brokers. They sell your information, and it's totally legal for people to go on there and find your information. So you got to go to these data broker websites, each one of them, and opt out of them. And do that every 90 days to make sure that you're doing that. So here's some of the hidden risks you have. Now, these are some of the things you can do right now. I kind of paired that with your hidden risks. These things, they don't cost you anything, but they're important that you stay on top of it, things you can do right now. So strong passwords, like I mentioned, use a password manager. Don't try to manage your passwords in your head. The only password you should know is the password to your password manager. That should be the only one. If you can remember your password, thieves can guess your password. Credit freezes. Credit freezes are great because that protects the financial aspect of it. Keep in mind, most of these crimes don't even show up on your credit report. A lot of them have to do with your criminal, fraud, things of that matter. But at least if you put a credit freeze, you can freeze that amount. Now, the inconvenience thing about a credit freeze is that when you need credit, you have to manually undo it. But I think it's worth you getting a credit freeze to make sure that no one hits you financially. Also, monitor your credit reports. The credit laws have changed. In the past, it was once a year they'll give you a free credit report. Now they're giving them to you almost weekly. You can go to annualcreditreport.com and get your credit report and look at it. Look for changes. Look for new credit. Thieves sometimes will do a test run on your credit. They can tell what type of monitoring you have. They'll do something small. If they get away with it, if there's not a freeze after it, then they'll do a bigger thing. So when you detect it small, you can stop it before it becomes big. But this only happens if you're constantly monitoring your credit reports. Two-factor authentication. What is that? Every major account you have, whether it's a bank account, even social media accounts, they offer this added security. You need to go into your accounts and activate two-factor authentication. What that means is even if someone has your password, they need another way to verify it's you to open that account. These authenticators, it's going to be like your cell phone. They'll send you a text message with a code that you can put in there. It can be what they call an authenticator app, like a Google has one, Microsoft has one, where if someone logs in, they'll say, okay, put the code that's in your authenticator app to verify as you. It's two ways they have to go. They can't just know your password. They have to authenticate themselves a second way. So activate this. This is an added defense for most of your social media and personal accounts. Make sure you have that activated. Secure your mail. Make sure you're aware of phishing scams, and they get more and more complicated all the time. From toll booth violation scams to people saying that you won the lottery. We know all the scams, but be aware of them. You laugh at them, but people are victimized with them all the time. Secure your devices. Make sure your devices have passwords on them. Limit your social media sharing, like I mentioned. Make sure that when you're online, you understand exactly what you're sharing, why you're sharing it. Think like a thief. Am I giving out any personal information? Can they see my location? Can they see any personal data about my age, my address, what city I'm from? Can they get any family information? I know it's a headache, but you got to think that way or you put yourself at risk. Shop on secure websites only. Make sure they have HTTPS on them. Monitor your bank accounts constantly. Make sure that there's no unauthorized transactions. Beware of public Wi-Fi. I'm not saying don't get on public Wi-Fi, but make sure you have a VPN or that Wi-Fi is safe if you get on it. Opt out of all the data broker sites, like I mentioned before. There's like 80 of them. So you have to do a little research to find out where they are. And every 90 days, re-opt out of them. Because if you get your information there, the reason why I did that with data broker websites is it increases. That's probably why you're getting a lot of spam calls. Think about all the latest spam calls you guys have gotten. There's an increase, right? Because your information is out there to so many people. You got to get it off these data broker websites and also continue to educate yourself. So here are the things you can do right now. I'm going to share with you as we wrap up. And if you have any questions, guys, you can put them in the chat. I'm going to share with you something that I use because you can do these things and they don't cost you a dime. They just cost you a lot of your time. But I have this one service that I use, and I'm just going to take about 10 minutes just to give you an overall view of that service that I use to really help me out. This service right here, Forbes Magazine, and this is one of the reasons I picked it. Forbes Magazine named them best overall because of the protection that they have. It's called ID Shield. On this particular service, what you can do is give it the person that invited you. They probably have it themselves because a lot of our people, that's what they have. First thing I noticed that it does show you your credit score. Now, when I first saw this, I didn't like my credit score, I'll be honest with you. But this service, along with another service, actually raised my credit score from the low 500s to the upper 700s. The monitoring things I was telling you about, you know, they will monitor your credit score. They will send you alerts. They will tell you exactly. The reason why I like this one, because they don't just monitor it, but they actually tell you exactly why you got the credit score. But they do financial threshold monitoring. So you can set up your bank account to send you, instead of you having to monitor your bank account all the time, you can do it through here. They do payday loan monitoring, which is big because most folks don't look for that because payday loan a lot of times is non-credit. They have something else that they use beside credit, so it doesn't show up in your credit report. But here is why I really use this particular service that I have right here is because of the security it has on it. Remember I said you need to monitor what matters? This thing is monitoring 22 elements. Everything from my username, MPI, if you're a medical deal, medical ID, date of birth, mother's maiden name. Look at all the warnings it gave. Someone tried to get 6 Progressive leasing loans in my name. It caught it. And there's so much more monitoring from social media to dark web that it has on my name. You know, I mentioned child monitoring. This right here protects my kids. So it monitors their credit. I absolutely love that. We have a VPN, anti-malware. You know, for this and reputation monitoring, the anti-malware is crazy. Look on my security report. In the last 30 days, I had over 31,000 trackers blocked off my phone. You have to look for things like that. You can tell when I went to Mexico, right? Look where the gap is at. I wasn't using my phone in Mexico. I was on vacation, but look what happened. As soon as I got back, the thieves welcomed me back. 31,000 trackers blocked off my phone. There's so much more that they do. Such as, you know, I mentioned, how many of you scan QR codes? There's a QR code scanner. You didn't realize you can get malware when you scan a QR code. There's WebGuard. So any website I go to, it automatically makes sure it's safe. There's fraud busters. There's just so much that this app does that I love about it. Remember I said the privacy check about the data brokers' websites? I like this because it automates that. Look, it's already taken my information off of 34 websites. It completed 63 of them. This is the type of information it's automatically removing from me. My name, my phone number, email address, social media profiles. These are the information. All these sites is automatically working in the background for me. Gives me my VPN and everything else. And the reason why I like that is, look, I got 6 beautiful daughters and a beautiful wife. I don't want no one looking up their information. If you're a father, you can relate and find out where they live. I'm in law enforcement. That's scary to know people can find out your house by just looking you up online. So if I know where they live, that's probably why you're getting so many robocalls and spams. They got stalkers and creeps. Speaking of where you live, this even comes with a sex offender search. Now, the crazy thing about this is I thought I knew my neighbors. Look, I put my address in, my old address or where I grew up at. And I'm going to show you within a 5-mile radius, it searches. Look at what it found around my old address. Give it a second. It found all of that. I had no idea I had that many offenders right here in my neighborhood where I grew up at. You know, it doesn't just show you, you click on it, you can see their name. You can see exactly how far they are from you. I had a friend of mine that used this app. They rented an Airbnb for his daughters for, you know, some type of getaway. When they put the address of the Airbnb, it was owned by a sex offender. This is not about accusing people of anything. This is just about personal safety that we have. So it has that. It monitors my social media to make sure everything I said you need to do, and that's what I found. Out of all the apps out there, This one had complete monitoring for me. Now, you can do all that stuff for free. I'm not saying you need this. But what I'm saying is if you want monitoring that's automated, that's going to cost you what normally people pay just for a VPN, and my family plan with this covers 15 devices. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because I think that's something that if those of you that don't want to do all the other things, this is a service I recommend that I've been having for a while. But these are things you can do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search the chat for the next 5 minutes just to make sure there are no questions. Let me see if there's any questions whatsoever, but I hope this information has been good. Give me a thumbs up, guys, or if you've learned something tonight that really kind of opened up your eyes to some of the things that you need to watch out for, because the purpose of tonight was to let you know that if you are just living and not watching these things, you're in danger. You're definitely in danger. Your kids can be in danger. You work hard. We only have one name, one social security number, and everything else. It's sad, but we live into a time that a thief can take that information and really everything you've worked for work against you. So with that said, I definitely appreciate everyone attending. Get with the person that invited you. Get more information about some of the alternatives you guys have. But I hope I blessed you. Let's stay safe from this point on forward and protect our name, reputation, along with our privacy. Take care, take charge. I'll see you all over the top. Thank y'all so much.